are no rights or wrongs in fashion. There's only personal choice and the things that you truly love, and that's all that matters. Forget what anybody says, just please yourself.
It's Americana. I mean, pure Americana. He really understood the lifestyle of his customers. It was an American sportswear to the nth degree. We just don't wonder what it would have been if Perry had lived out his life.
He was an only child, and he swears that he always looked at things a little bit differently. He went to high school in the 1950s, which is about the most rah-rah American time you could possibly be doing so. All those sort of wonderful old American values were inherent in a lot of his clothes.
He was almost a fashion outsider, Perry. I mean, he loved fashion, he loved style, but he was not a fashion victim by any stretch of the imagination.
Country boy, which is why I think is my favorite part of his collections were the tweeds and all the knits, because he took like things that we already knew, but then he made them like fun and frivolous and outspoken.
If you look at what clothes were like from that period, it was very kind of disco dressing. And then all of a sudden these models came out in like these big bulky handed sweaters and these kind of oversized plaid pants, and it was just mind-blowing.
And he would force me to skip. He'd go, I love the way you skip.
Big stadium cheering, wonderful, wild event, and it continued like that for the entire decade that he was alive.
One day Perry came back from lunch and he said to Jen and I, it's all about circle skirts and dimple sleeves. And that became a signature on so many garments, and then also a signature that I think people really relate to Perry.
Yeah.
And that was a way of taking something as simple as a crew neck sweater with a cable down the front and making it new and relevant for that time. And giving it that quirkiness that Perry really appreciated.
He understood the need to push the envelope, but he also understood that clothes had to be sold. So he had a great balance between creativity and commerce.
When we worked there, we felt like we were really doing something very special.
Every single season we would begin and he would say, okay, forget about what we've done. What looks new? What looks fresh? What do you want to experiment with? What do you want to play with? And we'd sit there and draw and draw and draw and draw until we came up with what, like four or five silhouettes. Silhouette was very important to us. Fabric was extraordinarily important. It was an extremely experimental process from beginning to end.
He would just be the biggest cheerleader, like, let's go for it, let's do
Yes,
more,
exactly.
make it bigger,
More.
make it bigger, make it shorter, make it longer, make it wider, make it skinnier. It was just constantly pushing it to be what it could become.
In terms of men's fashion, he was really the first to bring the idea of dressing up in a casual way to American men.
I think the impact was made on lots of designers who worked for Perry, adored Perry. You know, the Marc Jacobs legacy. You know, I mean, when Mark met him at Charivari, it was like meeting God. You know, meeting Perry Ellis. I mean, Perry was it. I mean, he was the man.
New designers like Michael Bastian, who has said repeatedly that Perry is an idol of his, and the work he does today is influenced by what Perry did.
I think Perry had an amazing sense of self and purpose and direction. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, what he liked, what he didn't like. And so it really just became a celebration of bringing that kind of to the runway and then to the audience that we had.
He was very connected to nurturing and very giving in not standoffish, but really recognizing that the more he supported the industry, the better and more successful the entire industry would be.
He's one of those designers where everybody you talk to throughout your whole career always has something wonderful to say about Perry. You know, and a smile comes on their face.
Well, I've always felt that clothes should not be taken too seriously, and when I'm designing, I like to smile a lot and laugh a lot, and so it helps sometimes when fabrics are amusing and witty, and as some of the prints are, these tiny little ducks are really a delight to work with.
At the time, Barry Perry was used synonymously with the man in his work to define what it was that he was doing. Today, Barry Perry represents a more optimistic, witty, fun way of life. And quite honestly, it's about not taking oneself too seriously, making it easy and having fun with it, which is what Perry Ellis embodied.
There are no rights and there are no wrongs. There is only personal opinion, and your opinion is just as good as mine. Your judgment is just as good as mine.